Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. I think it's prudent to actually speak to a voice of knowledge if we're going to have this sweeping discussion that guns are the root of all evil, not the people, not the mental illness, not the woeful state of politics in this country, not delusional people who believe whatever they believe. We should talk about something rationally. And that is why we have the founder of Armed and Feminine, Kellyanne Pigeon, joining us. Kellyanne, thank you very much for being here. I want you to be able to weigh in on this as somebody who's got the knowledge with the firearms. When you hear about shootings like this, you know this is the conversation that everybody's going to have.
Conversation versus debate versus argument is probably a little more likely. Unfortunately, this is so emotionally charged right now. And I just want to start by saying how much my heart absolutely aches for the lives of these innocent children lost at the hands of evil and just as much for their parents. But we sort of have a rule in the gun community that we try not to say much in the first 72 hours until all the facts come out. Because it's a horrible tragedy, no question about it. And emotions just run so high that people don't think rationally or have rational conversations. But time has passed and, we need to be having these difficult conversations. And unfortunately, the anti-gun side and the pro-gun side can't manage to come together. The anti-gun people are always trying to have safety from guns, where the pro-gun people are trying to have safety with guns. And we don't seem to really get there. And, the root of all evil is not the gun. An evil person has a plan in mind and then acquires what he or she may need to carry that out. Just by virtue of having a gun doesn't make somebody evil. These are things that are planned, usually, like this particular one, there's some sort of posting about it, social media, and many of these mass shootings, there have been signs. There have been signs prior to these events, yet no one has any intervention about it. So, the root cause is not the gun by any means.
I agree. I wish you would, Kellyanne, tell us a bit about the AR-15. Why is this the demon of choice? It really sounds like a big, scary thing, and it is used in an awful lot of these shootings. So why is it that they walk me through your knowledge of it so we can all be educated?
All righty. So the AR-15, no question, has been vilified. And, the uninformed public has been brainwashed that it's scary, because of the cosmetics of it. And it really, it operates exactly like a rifle. It's a semi-automatic firearm. One press of the trigger releases one bullet. It doesn't operate any differently. It just looks different. Real quick story. We could talk about this for a week. I had a group of formerly anti-gun moms come out for some training, after they saw the riots and looting, and they decided, maybe we better get some education and learn how to protect ourselves and our families. And so knowing that they had been anti-gun all of their lives, we did a nice slow class in education. And so after we did some handgun training, we brought out some rifles, and we had just a 22, just different makes and models. So we worked our way up to AR-15, worked the same way as all the other types of rifles, a quote, hunting rifles, right? They had no problem with it. So when we got to the AR-15, they sort of had a sign like, what's the matter? And the answer was, that's scary looking. And I said, that's because the media has taught you that this is scary. This operates the exact same way. So they each had the opportunity to handle it and to fire it and to realize for themselves that, oh, yeah, this did work just like all the other ones there that we worked with. And so just by that particular hands-on experience really opened their eyes to the myths that they have been brainwashed with to being the truth. The AR-15 is incredibly versatile. It's used for recreation. I use it for sport, too. It can be used for hunting and, of course, self-defense. And so if you're somebody who is of limited means, it's affordable to buy only one firearm and be able to do all of those things. There are grandmas who use this, and they can use it for self-defense as well. People will say the word, oh, it's covered in a shroud. No, that's a handguard to keep you from getting burnt. Oh, it has an adjustable stock. Well, yeah, I'm 5'10" and I have a really long neck and long arms. I need to adjust it to fit me so that I can shoot it well. So all of the particular components of the gun are really no different from any other rifle. It just cosmetically looks different.
Right.
So like I said, it's versatile. And honestly, when I go to Washington, D.C. and I meet with our legislators, anywhere you walk around the Capitol building, the Capitol Police that have what? AR-15. Why? Because they're perfect for self-defense. And so if they can have them, why can't I? And I'm just really sort of fed up with the fact that, we, the people, being held accountable for the acts of a few of these criminal predators.
I agree. And in the minutes I have left, because I know you're jamming to the airport to catch a flight, you're actually going to the NRA Convention, right? So tell me a little bit about this. I know that there are going to be protests, blah, 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 but what happens at the NRA Convention?
This is going to be interesting for sure. Well, the NRA Convention is a number of things. It's the annual meeting of the members, so there are a lot of educational sessions, as well as a large expo of vendors who will share with you, what all their products and services are for those who are interested in many sorts of firearms. And so typically we get, 40, 50,000 people, families. They take it as like a family vacation. Concerts, so there's a big social aspect to it, as well as, the meetings of the members. So educational on many, many respects. And since it is in Texas this year, right, not too far from where this tragedy was, we're sort of expecting that there will be protesters out there. And of course, everything's still emotionally charged. There will still not be the correct conversation that we need to have, which is, one, end the gun-free zones. 95% of the mass shootings are in gun-free zones. That policy has never been effective. It only creates, softer targets. We need to talk about how we fortify our schools and how we're not complacent with safety, and how do we equip our teachers and staff with education to respond to incidents, and have those tough conversations and spend the money. I'm sitting here looking at how much money did we just send to the Ukraine. We could have, fortified our schools a whole lot better. So we need to prioritize, a whole lot better in this country of what is important.
In the 2 minutes
the lives of our children.
I agree. In the 2 minutes I have left with you, Kelly, what do you recommend we do with our schools? What's the strategy there?
Like I just said, fortify them. There's a great program out there. It's called Faster Save Lives. A lot of the schools in Ohio have done it. And it was done by a multidisciplinary array of folks. And it gives everyone practical steps to respond to violent events and emergencies. And it talks about arming people and how you do a medical response from within, so you don't have to wait for, quote, help to arrive. It's an amazing program, and I certainly encourage all schools to look into, using the Faster Save Lives program. But, we need to make sure that people aren't complacent with safety. The doors are locked. They need to stay locked. One way in, many ways out. Evil will find its way. Evil will find its way. If it's not a gun, it's going to be a knife, a hammer, a baseball bat, whatever it's going to be. We need to be able to respond to any of those situations, whatever the tool.
Well, I think you're outstanding, and I appreciate your voice of reason here as you have trained thousands of men and women. Kellyanne Pigeon is obviously certified. She's been doing this for years. Armed and Feminine is the name of her business, and I wish you safe travels. And I look forward to training with you down the road, my dear, because I've got a 43 that I'd like to get some advice with. How about that?
I am more than happy to help you and look forward to it as well. Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you very much. Take good care. Kellyanne Pigeon, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't it amazing when you do step back? And I like what she said off the top. 72 hours. we in the gun community realize that everybody gets emotional in those first 72 hours. You need to step back from it. Don't comment, don't tweet, don't just allow yourself to grieve, to be stunned, to try to absorb some semblance of fair fact finding. And then let's sit down and educate. There is a rationale and there is a rational way of doing things. And yet it never seems to be the way that things are done. It's knee-jerk and reactionary. It's not preventive. And we can prevent this stuff without scaring the bejabbers out of kids. But there's something very, very empowering about learning if you can only find someone honest enough to teach you fairly. I don't think we have a lot of that anymore in this country, ladies and gentlemen.